Hi guys, it's Coach Pat from the Rant. Before we get to the Rant, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor, Premier Football Consulting. These guys do a great job of placing football players throughout the country at great programs from Division I to Division III. No one does it any better. But instead of me telling you about it, how about you hear from the CEO, Nico Pappas? Nico, tell us all about it.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Rant. My name is Nico Pappas. I'm Coach Pappas' son. I'm also the director and one of the founders here at Premier Football Consulting. Our team at PFC has been around for 23 years and is one of the largest football consulting groups in the country, as we've helped over 1,000 players and their family navigate this competitive, confusing, and costly recruiting process in an effort to find a great college fit. Our team consists of 15 former players and coaches that have experience at the FBS level, the FCS and Ivy League level, as well as the small college high academic landscape. Since the advent of the transfer portal, the NIL, and in the post days of COVID, this college recruiting process has become crazier than ever. It's confusing, it's competitive, and most importantly, it's costly. The PFC has stayed on top of all of these trends and has the ability to leverage our experience, our knowledge, and most importantly, our connections at the college level to give our players a huge edge in what will be a very competitive process. So if your son desires to play college football, I highly recommend that you get the help of an expert. When you go to buy a house, you look to hire a real estate agent. It's the same thing with the college recruiting process. When you are about to enter it, you should seek the help of an expert, and that's where the PFC comes in. So if you would be interested in a quick free consultation call, feel free to reach out to me at 617-308-7801 or shoot me an email at nico@premierfootballconsulting.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico, and thank you, Coach Pap. Now, on to the podcast. Cue the music, baby.
Welcome to the Rant, everybody. I'm Coach Pap, co-host of this show. My other co-host is the great Danny Ventura, Danny V, and our producer, Damian Parsesian. We are blurry-eyed from the football over the weekend. It's unbelievable. We're watching high school MIAA playoffs. We're watching the ISL and NEPSAC close up and pick their guys. College football's mayhem. In pro football, Danny survived. Danny and the Lions survived 5 interceptions last night.
Unbelievable.
I
guess the sign of a good team is one that can win when they don't play that well. And boy, I'll tell you, for about 35 minutes, it was a nightmare. It was just,
I had texted Danny back last week. I said, Jared Goff's going to be the MVP. Not.
I was also thinking that too, and
that was the proverbial rough one.
he certainly didn't play well, that's for sure.
I know. So let's start off with the MIAA. Danny, take it away, buddy.
Let's go. I mean, we're in the quarterfinals this week. I mean, it's certainly not surprising. There's tons of great matchups. You start in Division I. I'm very intrigued by the BC High Springfield Central matchup. You know, BC High have really, rebounded, had a terrific year under Paul Zakauskas. Springfield Central, depending on who you ask, there are some people who really think they're the best team in Massachusetts. It handled a good Natick team last week with ease. The other one that jumps out there, looking at Methuen St. John's Prep.
Yeah.
Methuen running back Shane Eason, when you start looking at Gatorade Player of the Year guys, now, is he going to play at Alabama? No. But as far as high school, what he has done this year is amazing. I mean, he certainly would have to be among the leaders for that award. I mean, for that honor. 315 yards last week. He'll really get a test this week against St. John's Prep, who, pretty much handled Attleboro with ease the opening weekend. They were just a little too strong.
We'll talk a little at the end with my shout out about, who I think should be player of the year. But again, and we're going to talk about, one's a private school, one guy's a public school. Shane Eason, I mean, fantastic kid. I mean, boy, does he play hard. You hit it right in the head. I mean, with this day and age, with the NIL and transfer portal, I mean, that's the type of kid that could start at an FCS school and eventually get to that spot. I mean, he's a dynamite fun player to watch. I think St. John's Prep probably will have the iron to stop him. Boy, Needham is really tough. They're really tough. I mean, good for those guys. We'll see what happens with those guys. The game that I think, Danny, I don't know who you think. I think Clemens has got a damn good shot at taking it to Xaverian.
You look at Xaverian, where they've struggled this year is their back seven has not been as good as in the past. And, Lemons, the quarterback, is pretty good. He's
pretty damn good. Yeah.
I think they're going to score points. I mean, the concern I would have is, can they stop Xaverian? I mean, you may get a heavy dose of Vincent Busa.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Lemonster can't score if they don't have the ball. So I'm guessing you're going to get a heavy dose of Vincent.
Yeah. And Vincent's healthy now?
Yes. He 175 yards last week against Brockton.
Yeah.
So, that should be an interesting one there.
Great family, the Busa family from over at the lake in Newton. What a great family. Yeah. So, I mean, okay. So Division One's going to be, we're going to have jam-packed. And by the way, both our teams are still alive, which is great. All right, go ahead. Division Two, Dan. What do you think?
Division Two, I think it's the chalk. I think you're looking at, I'd be surprised if CM, King Philip, and Marshfield don't advance. The one that could be interesting is Wellesley's kind of been laying in the lurk there. They traveled to Bishop Feehan. I think, if there's a lower seed, a road team in that division who's got a shot at winning, I would say they're clearly the one that would have the best shot at winning.
Wellesley, I talked to Mike Donovan last week after the Central Catholic game. He was raving about the Wellesley sophomore quarterback, and I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Lucas Proke. Yeah, I'll tell you what, and he raving about him. And Dunny knows. Dunny's a college coach. He knows talent. He says the kid is fantastic. Wellesley's one of those teams we've talked about before. I think we talked about last week how Mashpee doesn't lose kids to private schools. Right. Wellesley in the past has lost a ton. I mean, we're going to talk about St. Paul's this week. St. Paul's quarterback is a Wellesley kid. So, but I am with you, Danny. I think that Wellesley-Feehan game is the game to watch this weekend. I mean, King Philip, CM, Mance, Marshfield, I think they all roll. So, again, I think we're on the same page with that one.
Yeah, I mean, go over to Division 3. I mean, I'll tell you what. I think that any one of those four games would not shock me if either team won. I mean, you're looking at Dartmouth, Mansfield, Milford, who probably has not played as well as they would have liked. I think they got a shot going into Reading and beating the Rockets. Walpole goes into Bill Rick. I mean, Noah McKenzie's as good a quarterback as there is in Eastern Mass. And you got Westboro at North Attleboro.
You stole my thunder a little bit. That's okay. That's par for the course for you.
You just say that because I'm coming up with these pearls of wisdom, and you're trying to make it seem like you knew this stuff. Come on now.
I'm just jumping on. I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. I'm with you. I mean, Mansfield's my pick. I'm scared to death of Dartmouth. I mean, I think they got it going. Jackson Hart's doing a great job at the helm for those guys, and I think that's going to be a great game. I'm with you with the Milford thing. I mean, a 3-5 team. I just am not sold. Again, I just don't. I think the Middlesex Lodge is weak, and I'm just not sold on Reading. I know they're undefeated, but I just don't know if they played the iron yet. How about Barica, since they've changed to the single wing?
Yeah.
I mean, Sigsbury changes to the single win 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's just like it's like a calculator with the points they're scoring. Yeah. I think they hold on against Walpole, and I think North Attleboro is going to be okay against Westboro. But the two big games, I think Dartmouth's got a legitimate chance, unfortunately, if I pick, and I think Milford's going to beat Reading, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, buddy, 4.
I'll tell you, Marblehead is a team that, kind of, didn't get a lot of notoriety during the season, but they really played well down the stretch. And, they go to Grafton. I think they got a shot there.
Yep.
I think Duxbury and Tewksbury are probably favorites in that game. And then you got the other one that I'm sure Damien knows a little something about. I think they're still scoring after last year's game.
I think they are too. I think they're at 205 right now. It's triple overtime.
Wayland Situate was a shootout last year. I don't see it changing this year. I mean, I think Situate is, my opinion, I think they're the class of Division 4. I've said it all along. I think that, a lot of their kids have short memories about what happened last year at Gillette. And I just think they're the class of that division.
Hey, Dame, do me a favor. Can you stand up and tell us who you're rooting for?
Yeah, Situate.
Wow.
No, of course I'm going with Wayland. Of course, I mean, what an incredible performance last week for our second running back. Oh my God!
Yeah,
Michael
Caulfield.
Number 5. Yep, Michael Caulfield went absolutely nuts.
That was one of those, literally the last team with the ball was going to win. I mean, 48-44. Yep. And you feel bad for Burlington, who's, really had a terrific season. They've turned things around under George Balian, and then, and this is what happens. Sometimes you get stuck with a bit, like we saw in Natick in Division 1. Burlington got caught with a bad matchup in the opening round, and that's it.
So I want to talk a little bit about Division 4. I'm going to keep the Wayland game to the end. I think Duxbury rolls. Jimmy Rudloff's done an unbelievable job at Marblehead. And again, just like Wellesley, just like Needham, Marblehead loses a ton of guys to private schools.
Sure.
Jimmy Rudloff, he never complains about anything else. He just keeps banging away with those guys. And I'll tell you, those Marblehead kids play hard. So I really think Marble will get him. Danny, you didn't mention Somerset. Somerset beat a pretty good Malvern Catholic team.
No, they certainly did. They got a terrific quarterback in Brendan McDonald. And the South Coast Conference doesn't always get the recognition it should. But if you look at, you got Fairhaven won a Super Bowl last year. We know how good they are. They hung with BC High until the fourth quarter. But every year that league has one or two teams that makes a long run in the tournament. We'll get to them a little bit. I mean, I think Old Rochester is another one of those teams in Division 5 that's got the potential to do some damage.
So we're talking Dartmouth, we're talking Somerset, we're talking Fairhaven, Old Rochester. I agree with you with that section of the state. But, Brian Aylward he's a cagey veteran, that guy.
Yes, he is.
I'll tell you, Brian, listen, I don't want to talk about the best coaches in the state because I think a lot of them are great, but that guy's in the running. I mean, Brian Aylward's just unbelievable. Wayland Situate, I mean, huge Scotty P fan, huge Wayland fan. Those guys come to the camp every year. I see them all the time. But I watched Situate absolutely beat the daylights out of Melrose. I watched that game.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Has your buddy heard of the team down there? I mean, this is going to be I last week I thought Burlington was going to be a hell of a game, which it was. This Wayland Situate game is going to be a heck of a game. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to be fun. All right, Division 5, buddy. What do you got?
Well, my Foxboroughs rolled handily in the opener. They're going to go against a Dedham team that's a little bit of a surprising team. They put it 57 against Greater Lowell. They've got a running back, A.J. Panett, who's going to wind up, by the time he's done, I think he's going to be in the top 8 all-time in state and rushing yard in Massachusetts. He's basically they're an inexperienced team, but they're a dangerous team because he can do some damage. Unfortunately, they're going against the Foxborough team that I still think is the class of that division. You're looking around. I mean, Old Rochester gets Norton, who really put the wood to Bishop Fenwick, which surprised a lot of people. Handle them very easily. Shawsheen, I think Newburyport will give him some trouble. I don't know if they can beat him, but I don't think that's a cakewalk. And then I'm guessing, Hanover, they've done a good job. They lost a ton of kids from last year, but they're competitive.
They are. And again, I'm just going to talk about, I think Foxborough being so close to Dedham, and Dedham, again, knowing all about Foxborough, I don't think that's a good thing for the Dedham kids. I think they're probably a little bit intimidated because Foxborough's just been so good.
Right.
This Shawsheen team, I saw them last week, and Al never runs a score up. I mean, but they scored 50 just, walking at the end. I've had conversation with guys in the Middlesex League in the Merrimack Valley. I'm not sure they're not one of the best teams in that entire valley. I mean, we know that wrestling-wise, Dame, you're an old wrestler. Did you know Damien was in his senior year at Wayland High School as junior year? Because he didn't have senior year. What were you top 10 in 160?
160.
Dave, I'll tell you what. If Danny starts giving me any more shit, Dave, I'm going to tell you what. You're going to come off the top rope and just
Cole
give it.
Nelson, put him the Cole Nelson too. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. but getting back to Shawsheen, Danny, you know, because you're a wrestling guy, that Shawsheen dominates that whole area. I'm telling you, I have talked to guys in the Merrimack Valley Middlesex League that think that Shawsheen might be the best team up in that area. I mean, they just have got an unbelievable crew. I'm staying with them.
They could very well. They wrestle. A lot of those kids do wrestle. How good. I mean, Shawsheen is a legitimate top 10 wrestling team, not in Eastern Mass, in New England.
Yeah,
they're that good.
Yeah, so they've done a great. And obviously, Al's everyone's pal, the best. Okay, Division 7, Danny, what you got?
Well, you want to go to 6, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chicas.
Don't
tell Bob I forgot.
Bob Alameda, wow, and he's playing this. He's not a media fan this week because he's playing Saturday night, so we don't like that.
Well, if I can jump in, I'm coming back to Boston. Am I coming over to the Ventura's house for dinner, by the way?
Huh. I don't know. I'll tell you, we make a mean Panera soup.
Oh, well, we got to. With Danny, where's the place in Watertown we're going to?
Oh, Ravello.
Ravello's
a good place.
I don't know if we can do it, but anyways, I'm coming back. I was all set. I'm going to go. I got my bowl game on Saturday afternoon at BC. I was going to go to Stoneham Swampscott, and they switched this to Saturday night. I mean,
so you're all set. You do 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock the Pappas Bowl. 6:30 the Almeida Bowl.
I got news for you, Dan. The fastest flight out of there on Saturday late afternoon. I'm on it.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'll be freezing. I'll be a popsicle by then.
Yeah, this is true. What time's your flight?
Right now it's 8. I'm gonna if the BB at St. Paul, I might jump 5:40, but that's a different story. But anyways, yeah, this, if I can jump in for a sec, Fairhaven runs the ball great. I just can't see how Linfield's ever going. I mean, unless they can't cover the pass. I mean, I think Fairhaven's going to be fine. Danny, we don't talk about this guy, Jake Attaway, who has thrown for 10,000 yards at Hudson High School.
His numbers are incredible.
It's incredible. So, I mean, as much as we think it's going to be Fairhaven, Stoneham, and everything else, I'll tell you what, Hudson might be the team that, that's going to come out. Not many Central Mass teams come out and win it all, but with a kid like that who can whip it around.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, they've not been challenged.
Not been challenged at all. No. So that'll be interesting. I mean, I think Bob, listen, Bob's team is hanging in there. I mean, it's the smallest school by far in the Middlesex League, and it's been a dominant program for the last 6 or 7 years. Those kids, I talked to Bob this morning. I mean, they can barely practice right now. I mean, they got everyone going both ways and everything else. But I think actually, you know what? I think the extra day is going to help them. So I like them against Swampscott. Yeah,
and then the other one is a rematch. Abington, got lost to Norwell earlier in the year. I think Norwell is another team. Very, very, a lot of guys back from last year, and they're not a one-trick pony. They got 2 or 3 guys who can really hurt you. So I mean, I got to assume, that they'll not be what do you call it? No, that will not be a revenge game there. I see Norwell getting through.
Okay, buddy. All right, 7. What do you got?
7. You got some interesting characters there. I mean, Uxbridge, to me, the road goes through them until somebody can slow them down. I just think they're too good. You got Ken LaChapelle, who we'll talk about later, in his Northbridge team. Then you look at a couple of the teams out of the South Shore League. Cohasset traveling to Clinton. Mashpee, who I think is a very dangerous team. They take on an Amesbury team who got to Gillette last year. So I mean, I think there's some real good matchups in Division 7.
I talked to Mark Dissett, the D coordinator at Ames, and he's having sleepless nights about this, this variation of wing T that Amesbury runs. Yeah. Long bus ride.
That's it.
Amesbury to Cape Cod. I mean, you can say what you want, but they ain't traveling on luxury buses like we used to do in Cambridge.
Yeah.
So I mean, we probably would have flown. But anyways, I like Mashpee in that. But you're right, Danny. I think it's going to go through Uxbridge. And we're going to talk about Ken LaChapelle at the end. I mean, what a great story that is. All right, buddy, finish it up with 8.
I mean, 8, I think, the two teams that, the Eastern Mass teams that, seem to have the best shot of unseating West Boylston, Randolph and Neshoba Tech. I mean, Randolph really, wow, 67 points last week. Oof.
And they partied it up too, Dan. Nothing like the Randolph guys. The Randolph guys know how to win, and they know how to party afterwards.
They get Neshoba Tech, which I think could be an interesting game here. They're playing Cathedral, who rallied late to beat Millis. I mean, Cathedral, not much in numbers, but the guys they have, they can play. I mean, that's going to be an intriguing matchup. And then you got the other one, Battle of the Cape there, Carver versus Bourne, which I think is a 50-50 game there. Bourne, unfortunately decided to ruin one of my Pick-A-Rama picks last week by taking out Kip. So what are you going to do?
That's for all the cranberry bogs. They're playing for all the cranberry bogs.
That's it.
Carver
like
versus
cranberries.
Bourne, all the cranberries. I'm rooting for Cathedral. I mean, but Neshoba Tech, I mean, they've done a fantastic job. But I like the underdog, the Boston kids. I would really like to see them, but they're up against it. Neshoba Tech's a good,
very solid team.
Yeah, very solid team. Okay, well, I think we're all alive, Dan. We're in good shape.
Yeah.
Dan, where are we going next, buddy? After the MIAA?
All right, guys, let's take it down to the good old NCAA, baby. We had a crazy week this week with, Ole Miss beating Georgia. We had number 4 Miami losing to Georgia Tech. Guys, what do we think about this week?
I mean, to me, I think you started to see, I think there's 3 schools that have distanced themselves from the pack. I mean, I don't think I'm splitting the atom there by saying Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas. They seem to be clearly a step ahead of it. Now, are they that good that they cannot lose? No. Anybody? I mean, there's no unbeatable team out there. There's no like Alabama team with Coach Saban in his heyday there. Even Georgia with Kirby Smart when he had his bandwagon bomb squad team there. I mean, to me, like I said, you get those 3, but then you got some crazy good stories. Brigham Young, Indiana.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to disagree with you, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't happen that often, but I'm going to disagree with you. I don't see those 3 teams as being head and shoulders above everyone else. I really don't. I think that Texas is vulnerable. I think that Ohio State, if the idiot at Penn State could ever win a big game, I mean, I think they're vulnerable this week against Indiana. And Oregon, I mean. Oregon, yeah, they're rolling right along and everything. I just don't trust them. I mean, I just don't trust them. Listen, I've said it for the last month or so, anything else. In my opinion, I was always an NFL guy. I mean, I like huddles, I like tight ends, I like an occasional fullback. But I'll tell you what, college football this year is kicking the NFL's ass as 100%. Far as excitement. That LSU Alabama game. I mean, the Ole Miss game. I mean, you're flipping back and forth. It's crazy how good these games are.
I think, because now with going to the 12-team playoff, you lose in the old days, you lose a game early in the year, and it's like, you may be playing in the old Astro Bluebonnet Bowl or whatever.
Right.
Now you could lose a game, you can even lose 2 games, and all you got to do is get in the playoffs, and then you're 0-0.
It's unbelievable. I mean, Boise State. I mean, it is just going to be. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for 20 years. And and the other good part about it, Danny, is these guys are, and these son of a bitches, if they make the playoffs and they opt out to save themselves the NFL draft, I'm sending Damian after them.
I'll go after them.
I mean, I understand why they do it. You just hope they won't do it.
And Danny, it was easy to walk away from the Blue Bonnet Bowl. Okay. Right. It was easy to do that. And it was easy to, even last year, unless it was the national championship.
Right,
I mean,
look at
what happened to
Florida,
Georgia. Florida when, I mean, it was a meaningless Orange Bowl, I think. But that's not going to happen this year, which makes college football just so much better.
Yeah.
Before we go to the NFL, I want to give some shout outs around New England. Obviously Harvard's only got 1 loss. They've done a great job. Dartmouth's only got 1 loss. I mean, two of my favorite Ivy League schools. Columbia came in and did their best against Harvard, but they got it pretty good. And then you got New Haven down there. I believe is undefeated still, Division II. But the Division III, there's 3 teams in New England Division III wise that have just done an unbelievable job. I mean, Endicott, number 10 in the country, under Paul McGonigal. And I think they can do some damage. I really do. I think they can do some damage in the national tournament. Springfield is number 26 in the country. And they're still running the wishbone. And they're playing with a ton of local kids. And you want to talk about local kids. The feel-good story is UMass Dartmouth. 9-0 down there, 10-0 maybe now. And Ryan McCormick's their recruiting coordinator. I mean, that guy works his ass off. But you want to talk about guys who are an inch too short or a tenth of a second too slow and just get it done at that level. I mean, hats off to those 3 programs in particular.
And that's what happens a lot of times. You get these kids, because one year the Herald sent me out to cover the Elite 8 in the Division II basketball in Springfield. And you go there, well, it's just not like D1. But then you start looking at these kids, it's like, Jesus Christ, they are good. The only difference is the 6'10" center might be a 6'8" center there.
Right.
The guard might be, but I'll tell you what, they all play with a chip on their shoulders because they feel they were overlooked, and they all know how to play. That's what I think. I'm sure you get that at the Division III kids. They're like, these Division II people drop the ball on me. I'll show them. So they play with a chip, with an edge.
It's all, and again, and we're seeing more and more of these teams playing on TV with Division III kids, Division II kids because of the portal. So again, as much as we badmouth the portal and the NIL, there are some good things that happen, some real feel-good stories.
Sure.
Dame, where are we going next, buddy?
Yeah, let's take a quick drive down to the good old NFL. Guys, how about these Patriots and Gerard Mayo? Are they actually working together now? Is the defense finally together and can actually stop the run? Because I was very excited seeing that we could actually stop the run. What about you guys?
Hey, Danny, I don't know about you, but I had to do some stretching before I jumped back on that bandwagon.
Jesus. You know what the crazy thing is? People talk, this Patriots team, they've been in 2 overtime games. If they won those 2 overtime games, they'd be in the playoffs right now.
It's unbelievable. And again, I go back to Mayo, and he reminds me a lot of Mike Singletary coaching that team. You know what I mean? I'm first to say I thought it was a bad hire. But he's doing something, when he called those guys out and everyone like your buddy, Mr. BB calling them out like, oh, you can't call these guys out or anything else. You know what? These guys are grown ass men. And he called them out, and boy, have they responded. And this Drake May, the only thing about Drake May, and I'm not going to say anything negative about him because there's nothing negative to say.
Right.
I worry to death every time he runs with the football. You know what? He looks like my wife running with the ball. I know he's athletic and shit, but
well, that's an insult to your wife. Your wife is very athletic.
Danny, 4 years undefeated point guard at St. Pat's High.
There you go.
Yeah. They used to be St. Connor Kills back in the day. But anyways, what do you think, buddy, about the Pats?
I agree with you on May. Every time even my wife looks at it, she goes, oh my God, he's going to get hurt again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, they do play hard. I don't know if there's a lot of talent there, but I may just there's something about him. He just carries himself the right way. He says the right things, and I could see the team starting to, mold around him. I think they respect him, they like him, and I don't know, there just seems to be something there that, I don't think they're that good, but they do, they do play hard, and that's half the battle.
And at this stage of the season, too, Dan, exactly what you're talking about. We'll talk about your Lions in a second. But, it really comes down to teams that are buying into playing hard. And again, you're right. Mayo has got these guys playing hard. They're playing with some bad guys out there. But they run the football relatively well. Stevenson's tough. He's tough.
He's a tough back. If he can cure the fumbling, and it seems like the last few weeks, I didn't watch much of the game. I'm assuming he didn't fumble yesterday because he didn't hear about it. But he does run hard. No question about it.
Yeah, he runs hard, and I'll tell you what, the kicking game this year is much more solid than it has been. So to your point, Danny, you know what? They're a couple overtimes away from being in the playoffs.
5-5. We'd be right there with Denver.
We could be, but we're not.
I'll tell you something. Let's just transition to how much I loved seeing Sean Payton and that fat head lose. I loved it. I fucking loved it.
I enjoy it too.
I'll tell you,
he looks like a big gerbil.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's got
one
one job with that team, though. I'm not a big fan.
He is, though. He is.
This is Sean Payton.
There we go. There it is. How are you not hurt jumping from all these bandwagons, Coach? Like you haven't sprained an ankle or anything.
Those Chiefs, those fuckers, they coach defense. They coach special teams. Boy, did you on that field goal attempt? I watched it today again. They just literally run over the tight end and they run over the wing like it was me and you blocking it. I mean, they just killed them. I mean, they wanted the win. The Denver kids couldn't even hold up. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. But, we're talking about coaching. I'll tell you look at a couple of these teams like the Chargers. The Chargers have always had talent. They don't even have as much talent as they've had in the past. But what they got a guy who knows what he's doing. And each week, these guys are buying into Harbaugh.
Yep.
The guy, say what you want. He can be quirky. He's this, that. He can coach. He wins. And the Chargers are buying into him. They run the ball. They've got a good quarterback. They play good defense. They're going to give people problems. And another team that I would look is Arizona.
Yeah.
Last year did not have a good record, but they played everybody tough. You look at them this year, early in the year, they gave the Lions all they could handle. And now they've got, Murray, you can see that he's 100%. Marvin Harrison is showing why he was the 6th pick in the draft. They've won 4 in a row. They're going to be troublesome.
I'm going to comment on both those things. My limited experience with Jim Harbaugh, he was always a very nice guy to me. I'll tell you a funny Harbaugh story. I know we're going to go. Harbaugh came over, so he recruited a couple of my guys. Good. He's just a really good guy. Yeah. After I left, my brother Nick's over there coaching basketball. He went over to recruit Zach Zinta. So he's waiting for Zinta in the coach's office, and Nick's a huge Michigan fan. His son went to Michigan. And Nick's sitting there talking to Harbaugh. And Harbaugh goes, "What do you do?" He goes, "I'm the basketball coach." He goes, "Listen, I'm coaching my daughter's 5th grade basketball team. Can you give me some out-of-bounds plays?" So Nick's up diagramming out-of-bounds plays for Harbaugh. I mean, he's just, you want to talk quirky, Danny. Yeah. But you know what? He's genuine. And he
absolutely.
He knows the game of football. He's an old-time guy that knows that you got to run the ball. You got to stop the run.
That's his stick, Yeah.
And you're right. I'm glad you brought up Arizona. A buddy of mine was close to that Arizona job back, a couple of times ago and so on and so forth. I'll tell you what, the big concern with them was always Kyler Murray. Is he going to buy in? And again, he obviously has this year. You bring up a good point, but, it's that time of year. Well, speaking of that time of year, well, it is the NEPSAC Super Bowl playoffs. Damon, we got the 3 Stooges ready to come in.
Yes.
All right, Dave, can you let them in, buddy?
Yeah, you want them all in or you want one in?
I want all 3 in at once, buddy.
All 3. Let's do it.
Let's get them in. Oh, there he is.
I'll tell you, Anthony looks pissed. I think he looks
well, someone couldn't spell my name, so I never got the email.
Wow.
But that's Pacision. Listen, he's not Armenian. He doesn't know anything about the Italians. Hey, guys, welcome. We really appreciate you being here. And congratulations on making for all 3 of you yet another NEPSAC bowl game. I mean, obviously, the NEPSAC is near and dear to my heart. I recruited it. I coached it. I'm a big fan now. To be able to play the iron of these schedules and to make it to a bowl game is a huge accomplishment. Let me just go. I'll go left to right. We got the head coach at Dexter School, Casey Day, who has done an outstanding job in the Evergreen League. His teams every year at the top. And he turns out a ton of Division I players. Does just a great job. To his right is Mike Willey, who coaches at this little place over in Cambridge that I'm a little bit aware of. Mike is coming off an undefeated regular season. First one since 2008, Mike, which is great. Second one in school history. So BB&N is undefeated right now. And then up above Mike is Anthony Fucillo. Anthony is in his second year at Belmont Hill School, has done a phenomenal job of turning that thing around. Anthony was a fantastic all-state player here at Winthrop High School, and then was a record-setting quarterback at Tufts. So welcome, guys. Congratulations.
Thanks,
Pat.
Beautiful. Case, we're going to start with you. Case, tell us a little bit about your year so far and your matchup with Tabor, and what's it looking like, buddy?
Yeah, we're sitting at 8-1. We dropped one to St. Paul's, who's I'm sure Mike knows at this point is a heck of a football team, and Craig Vandersea up there does a great job every year with those guys. We a little bit different every team. I mean, we lost 8 college football players from last year's graduating class, 5 Division I full scholarship kids. So as much as it was a little bit of a reload year, we felt like we had a good group of veterans that were coming back that have played a lot of big football games and won a lot of games. And, sure, we got a young team. We start 4 freshmen on offense, 1 8th grader and 1 sophomore. And we feel like we're kind of gelling and putting things together at down the stretch run here. So, obviously, and these guys, know better than me at this point. Tabor's a heck of a football program, and they got a lot of talent, and they got dudes all over the place. So we're gonna have to have a great week of practice and be ready to go on Saturday.
Hey, Case, you mentioned the young guys and everything else, but let's talk about those, the stud Hardy Watts and U-Haul as well, 2 of the best linemen in the country.
Yeah, first, Hardy is committed to Wisconsin. He's coming off, he missed half the season last year, did a great job, rehabbing, getting back into tip-top shape. He's, arguably the most dominant offensive lineman we've had. He's 6'6", about 310 pounds, athletic, great pass protector, physical, plays right to that edge that we all like to see as an offensive lineman. Anthony Hall, the big U-Haul, he's a 2026, plays guard for us. He's about 6'3", 345. He's been clocked at 18 plus miles an hour. So he's come a long way. He transferred in last year, and he's head and shoulders above where he was this year, just from a technical standpoint and just learning the game of football altogether.
Thanks, Case. Yeah, you guys got a hell of a team. Anthony, how you guys feeling this week going into Worcester?
Great. First of all, I want to congratulate these 2 guys on a great season. Coach Willey, specifically, being in our league on a great year, and definitely well earned. We're definitely excited. I mean, interesting year for us. I mean, we're kind of banged up at the wrong times, but I think our team is starting to come together and starting to get healthy at the right time, which is great for bowl season. And Worcester will definitely be a challenge. They got a couple of weapons out there on the perimeter that we definitely got to worry about. And but I'm really confident that these guys will be ready for Saturday.
Question I have for Anthony: second year, this is the second time. Is it? The last time it was a novelty for you. It's your first time there. Is it different this time that you know what to expect a little more so than last year? Would you say?
Going into the bowl or just the season in general?
And into the bowl game itself.
I would say that there's always like anything, it's just second time around. You're getting used to that atmosphere and just trying to get used to an opponent. I think last year, playing against Deerfield was, definitely a tall task for us. And I feel like our team played as well as we could have. And I just think that they were a little bit better when it came down to playing 4 quarters of football. But, it's definitely an advantage to be at home, and not have to think about all the travel pieces and going to some strange place. So I think that's a huge factor for us this year. And, and I think it's like anything, second time around for the season, for the bowl, just getting prepared is definitely something. And then the other thing, we finally got some portable lights over here because we don't have lights. So with daylight savings, we went to Bentley last year for practice, and it's a little bit more convenient to be here every day and not have to travel on a bus to practice.
Did you guys have to call BB&M for a loan? Because I know Belmont Hill doesn't have that much money and they're a down. You know? Thank God Mitt Romney doesn't live. You know, Mitt Romney used to complain about the lights over there. You're right. He used to live right. Thank God Romney's out of town now. Hey, Mike, talk about your undefeated season, buddy, and a huge matchup with St. Paul's.
Yeah, I mean, it's season. It's playing in the ISL 7. It's every week you think, wow, this is a good team, and I think the boys played really well all season. Made plays when we needed to, and came out undefeated, which was a great accomplishment for them and the team. Really proud of their efforts and all that sort of thing, and to qualify for a bowl game and the John Pappas Bowl, which is awesome, and got a great venue at BC, which is awesome. So we're gonna go play at BC on Saturday at 1:00. So we couldn't be more excited about that. And then playing St. Paul's, they're a good team. They're undefeated also, so it's going to be a battle. Looking at them, they're good top to bottom. I mean, they've got some receivers that are really tall and really tough matchups. And then you got the running back is good. They're both offense and defensive lines are good. And then Coach Vandersea does a great job, coaching those guys. We played them 2 years ago, and they got the better of us. So, I think, our guys hopefully will respond well to practice and get after it this week. But we're jacked up to be playing football, right? Like I know these other two guys on the call know that it's a privilege to play this week. So it's fun to have another week of football and to get after it with your team again.
So guys, you guys are playing your 3 games, but obviously there are other games out there. And I'm going to kind of leave it up to all you guys to jump in and help us out a little bit. Let's start with Mike. I know you scrimmage. Choate versus Brunswick. Brunswick's got Blake Hebert, he was a Central Catholic kid originally, right?
He was a Central Catholic, transferred. He committed to Clemson, and then recently decommitted and wound up. He committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah, pretty good player. All right. Mike, what do you think of that game, Mike?
Yeah, we scrimmaged Choate, so I don't know Brunswick, so I haven't seen them on tape or anything. But we scrimmaged Choate, and Choate, we've scrimmaged Choate for many years now, and that was as complete. Choate is always good, and LJ does a great job. So it's always fun to go down there and bang around in the preseason. But I thought that Choate team was as complete of a team that I had seen. They're physical, tough, fast. I mean, they were really good, in our scrimmage. So I don't know about Brunswick. I have no idea really what they have and what they've got going on. You hear about the quarterback, but again, that Choate team, I mean, I think that would be a tall task for anyone in New England to match up with those guys. I mean, they're good.
Case KO versus Nobles. What do you know?
Yeah, we played Kingswood Oxford in week 0. They're excellent at the skill position. They got a quarterback that returned from last year's team. I think one of their junior wide receivers just got an offer from BC. So they're talented top to bottom. I mean, we kind of had them on the ropes at one point in our game in the third quarter, and they clawed themselves back into it and made it a 2-score game, and we had to play a full 4 quarters to beat them. But they're a heavily laden junior class. They got some real talent there. They got a big burly 225 pound running back, and they've been on the verge of kind of getting themselves into a bowl game over the past couple of years, and this is the year they finally got over the hump, and I don't know much about Nobles, but I think Kingswood Oxford is again, skill-wise, as talented as at least we have in our league, without a doubt.
Nobles, and you guys know how I feel about this. I just have no idea why Nobles doesn't play in the ISL Lodge, but that's my opinion. But their quarterback is a Notre Dame Division I lacrosse commit, and that kid is, to me, Nobles plays hard. Those kids play really hard. That quarterback, he's special. I think they're gonna have a little bit of trouble with Kingswood, though. And you know anything about Middlesex? I know Coach Woodward's a friend of yours. You know anything about how they're going to do? Berkshire kind of gets me a little bit. They're 5-3 in the tournament. I can understand being 5-3 and really battling, but they lost to a couple not too good teams. Anyways, you know anything about those guys?
I've seen Berkshire on crossover this week with Worcester. They, lost going for 2 against Worcester at the end of the game. So they went for 2 for the win, and Worcester did a good job stopping them. Good operation. Look like they're really well coached. They do some creative stuff on offense. And, for Coach Woodward over at Middlesex, he's done such a good job. That's a program that was, I think, 2 wins last year at the most. To be in a bowl after that is pretty impressive. I think, overall with Middlesex, they got a decent quarterback. Kid's pretty solid, and they got just, it's kind of that same world where they got a bunch of athletes that are a lot of lacrosse guys that can run around. So, I'll be interesting. I think that one can be close. I do. I think Coach Woodward does a good job scheming things up, and he's done a great job this year. So, wish him the best. Not sure of the outcome, but hoping it's close.
Eddie, you got anything for these guys?
Yeah, question I have, one thing we had talked about this earlier in the season. Has there been any talk about, expanding the schedule, maybe to play a 9-game season? Has there been any talk of that?
Yeah, I think I'll jump in. I think, we're looking at our schedule right now. I know Casey's group is looking at their schedule right now. So, I think there's lots of different options on the table. I think everyone would like more football, and, I think, the coaches would love more football. But I think right now, Danny, is there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for some creative thinking. So, I know they've put some groups together, and I think it'll be really interesting to see what we do scheduling wise for next season, for the 2025 season. It's exciting for me personally. I don't want to speak with the group, but I think it's going to be it'll be very exciting to see what we come up with.
Because I know, Casey, you had the extra game this year.
Yeah. We played 9 games, obviously a little bit easier for, day schools to pull off. We got boarding schools that come in a little bit later. You're not, we still have to abide by our league practice rules and whatnot. In our league, if you want to play in week 0, you'll get a waiver to get to 22 practices by week 1 instead of the 20 for everybody else. Our week 0 game was a little bit ugly at times. I'm not going to lie, a lot of cramps and whatnot. And, the one big thing for us is we kind of had a controlled, scrimmage before that where, ideally, I think, it was the second year we played in week 0. I think, looking kind of into next year, if we do it again, I would want to play more of a game scrimmage type of environment instead of kind of the controlled 20-20 type of scrimmage, just to get, special teams and, more of a real, workload type of thing that you go through in a 4-quarter game.
Guys, if I can jump in real quick, again, I'm old and I got nothing to do but hang out and watch football and stuff like that. This is my theory. You guys know I'm in South Florida, and South Florida's got the best football in the country. I get that. California, still Southern California, I'd say great. Texas, fantastic. Georgia, fantastic. After that, I firmly believe that prep school football in New England is in the either the 5th or 6th best recruiting / playing area in the country. And unless we start stepping this thing up and playing more games, playing more out of conference situations, playing on TV, which can be done, I think it holds the whole organization back, in my opinion. Anthony, I don't know if you have any opinions on that.
I think you're talking to the wrong crew here, because we all agree. You're preaching to the choir here. I think that you're just seeing more concentrated talent coming into our league, and really the top of the Catholic League is where kind of all the football talent is starting to kind of work together. So, I don't disagree. We'd love to play more football. We'd love to be able to prepare a little bit more and practice a little bit more with that. And I think it opens the door for a lot of things. And one of that being, Coach Day and Coach Willey and yourself have put a lot of kids in, Power 5 programs or now Power 4 programs. And we're going to have a few this year. And I think, that's the type of stuff that these schools want. And, the other thing too, is we're putting kids in the Ivy League and the NESCAC and that's important as well. We're putting kids in great educational opportunities as well. So I think that, I think we all got to look really at this whole thing and see and work together. I think that's the biggest thing, is the NEPSAC's got to work together, as a full group. And it can't be just the ISL. It can't be just the New England Prep or the Evergreen. And we got to work as a full group to make sure that this thing keeps pumping out great, talent, and we need more attention. I think that's the other factor too, is to get more attention on our league as much as possible.
I'm sure you guys know this. The Ivy League is now exploring sending their teams to the NCAA playoffs, which will be unbelievable. Okay, that's it. NESCAC went to 9 games. Okay, you guys are next. I mean, I think we're getting to that point. Before Danny asks you another question, I just got to get, one of my goals is try to get the best teams in Massachusetts playing each other. And I want to explore this in the off season. I really want to get the Catholic Conference. I want to get the ISL. I want to get the best teams in the Evergreen League. Okay, to try to come to an agreement. Everyone doesn't have to do this, but to get a week where we just call it a Super Week. Okay, we're gonna call it the Danny V Super Week. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're gonna call it the V Week. The V Week. I mean, but seriously, guys, I would love to get this going. It's not going to hurt the MIAA schools because it's still going to play the amount of schools they have to play, 7 and everything else. It certainly does not hurt you guys, because I know the ISL 7 needs an extra game. Casey, I know you always need an extra game. I'm willing to put that forth at some point coming forward. And again, hope you guys are on board. If you're not, then we're going to go without you. Dan, what else you got for him, buddy?
Yeah, just when you look to the 3 is when you see your opponent, what do you feel you're going to have to do to win this game? What is paramount for you guys to be successful, would you say?
Start with you, Case.
I mean, I don't want to say by far the best team we've played. I mean, on film, they're big, they're fast, they got a great quarterback, great running back. Without question, we're going to have to play our best game of the year to be there and be competitive at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, I think their run game in particular, whether it be, handing the ball off to their running back, or, their quarterback is dangerous throwing the ball and running the ball. So, I mean, to stop them defensively, however we can do that is going to be paramount, for us. And I think, when we have the ball, we gotta be able to, run it with our quarterback, run it with our in our normal run game, and make some plays down the field. I think, they do a nice job on special teams as well. So, I mean, not to say we got to play well everywhere, but we got to play well. We got to play well everywhere in all 3 aspects of the game.
Anthony?
For us, it really starts with on defensive side of the ball. I mean, we gotta, make sure that we're stopping the run and getting off the field on 3rd down. And that was something we struggled a little bit earlier in the season with, is getting off the field and then just minusing the explosives. Trying to keep their talent, to short gains. And offensively, we just got to get going early. In bigger games this year, it's taken us some time to get our offense going. And I think it'll be critical for our guys to come up early and show that. And, right now we're playing 9 guys both ways. So, it's like being at Winthrop High School right now with the amount of guys we have playing. So, I think it's, it's great. It's great for it. But, I think it's tough at times for these guys. They get pretty tired against some of these other teams, but it's not like the the Worcesters of this world are comparable to like a Tabor, like Casey's playing in terms of depth, and Tabor pretty much rolls out 2 units, and Coach Willey's pretty close. But I think that we're pretty excited about the opportunity, and like I said, we got to come out early and play our brand of football.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Vandersea does a good job. So it's like, we're really trying to figure out the best ways to slow them down. I don't know if you stop people, at this level. It's like really, played a lot of, we've played some bowl games, and, you played some really good offenses. So you just want to try to slow them down as much as we can, and then, they got some really, the receivers are really good. So it's like, you compete as much as you can there. Their run game is dangerous too. The running back's good. So, it's kind of their balanced attack. They can throw it, they can run it, they can throw play action. So, you just try to limit them as much as you can. And then offensively, we have a pretty good player named Bo McCormick. So, he'll probably be involved, but we got to do, execute as best we can on offense. Right. Damon Taylor's played great, for us all year. And, I think he'll be a big part of it too. And, I think, if we can just execute what we're trying to do, I think we got a chance to move the ball a little bit, and then, I learned from, actually my former head coach that I coached under that, you better take care of special teams in big games. So, we're going to make sure that, we're working on that as hard as we can. I think they do a good job in the kick game too. So it's going to be a challenge. Yep. All 3 phases, I don't want to be a canned answer here, but we want to, just try to work at that as hard as we can. So excited.
Well, guys, listen, best of luck to all of you. All I'm asking is for a beautiful day. Come on now. I want to be, it's about 81 down here right now. Is it 81 up there?
No.
Maybe next year we just fly all the bowl teams down there.
Let's go.
We play it. You host them down there.
Let's
There
go.
you go.
The Pappas Bowls. I love it. Fellas, listen, I've known you all since you're kids. I mean, I'm just so proud of you all. The beauty of Massachusetts is, if you want to go to public school, you can go to public. If you want to go to Catholic school, if you want to go to private school, we've got great coaches in all 3 areas. You are 3 of the greatest. Best of luck this weekend, guys. All right.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye
Thanks
now.
Davey.
Thanks, guys.
Boy, Dave.
That went really well. I thought they were going to start fighting each other, man. I thought they were going to start taking shots at each other.
Oh, 3 of the greatest guys. you're
No,
ever gonna
class
find.
acts.
All respect. All respect here, man.
And I've said this before, and I don't mind. Listen, every once in a while, I gotta fucking compliment my co-host. I'll tell you what, Danny. When I took the job in 2003, and I called you at the Herald, the thing that pissed me off about the ISL is they were playing. It was like the Three Stooges playing in the empty stadium. I mean, no one cared about them. And then I called Danny, and I said, Danny, would you mind? Danny was the guy who made the ISO what it is right now. I hate blowing smoke with him because he's always busting my ass. But I'll tell you what, buddy.
Well, that's not going to change, even if you
I'll
compliment
tell
me.
you what, you, my friend, are
Oh,
huge
thank you.
part of the success in the ISL. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're the best. All right, what are we going, Dave? You want to go shout-outs or you want to go rants? Let's go shout-outs, Dan.
Let's go shout outs.
All right.
You
Danny, go
want
ahead, buddy.
first?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go to the obvious one in Eastern Mass. Was Ken LaChapelle, actually Central Mass, if you will. Friday night became the first coach in state history to win 400 games. And it's just an incredible accomplishment. When you put it in a historical perspective, John DiBiase said it best. He said, look at it this way. If somebody were to start today, if they went, they'd have to go 10-0 for 40 years just to get to 400.
Yeah.
And you look at who's, John is number 2 at 369. After that, the next highest is Ahmed Colombo at 316. So, I mean, he's really distanced himself from the pack. And he's done it at a small Central Mass school. He doesn't have the big numbers, but in the thing that's great about it, it really is a family atmosphere. He's coached his sons, he's coached his grandsons, and his father, who was 100 years old, was his birthday Friday. He was at the game. I mean, Hollywood can't script it better than that.
You took the world.
Can't make it up.
Ken is just the nicest man. He doesn't want any attention.
Nope.
It is truly, and we've all been around, not Damien, but me and you, we've been around a long time. It's the greatest coaching accomplishment, in my opinion, in our lifetime. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, at a public school, and the guy is just great. He's loved by everyone. Yeah, I'm with you. Shout out to Ken. All right, listen, Danny was busting my ass about my shout-out's going to Bo McCormick. And again,
we should just call it the Bo McCormick shout-out. You shout him out every week, don't you?
You know what? But this is the final time I can because they're playing, and then we don't talk about it until he goes to BC. You know what? There's going to be a vote for the Gatorade Player of the Year, and I do not disagree with Shane, Ishan, and Mackay over at CM. And there's a bunch of great guys, but this kid, what this kid has done, I mean, what people don't understand, he's approximately 200 yards short of the all-time rushing record in Massachusetts. Right. Okay, but he doesn't stop there. He plays defense. He returns kicks. He covers kicks. I mean, I've watched high school football, and I'm really protective. I'm really protective of my ex-players that I thought we had some great players when I was at BB&N. This kid is the best ever. I mean, he's one of the best players in the history of the ISL. So, I mean, my shout-out goes to Bo. Like I said, and the nice part about us, guys, is just decommitted from Syracuse. We're going to watch him play in college at Boston College. So we're going to have
yeah.
All right, really good. And by the way, fantastic young man. I would have had him on for an interview, but the kid doesn't say 2 words.
I'm like the former BB&N coach. You left that out over the plate. I couldn't resist.
All right, go ahead and rant, Dan. What do you got?
If there's somebody who could relate to what Caleb Williams went through yesterday, it would be Tony Eason and Steve Grogan.
Yeah.
Almost 40 years ago, Super Bowl 20, the Patriots went up against the Chicago Bears, and basically the 2 quarterbacks got pummeled. Look at you. Fast forward to yesterday. It took almost 40 years, but the Pats got their little revenge there. They just absolutely annihilated Caleb Williams. I mean, 9 sacks. It was just, I mean, I don't know what the Bears are doing. I mean, I think I got to believe the natives are restless in Chicago today. It's just, this is your future. What are you doing here?
So again, I'm going to be professional here, and
that's why I'm treading lightly. I know you have.
I understand. Listen, I understand. And Shane Waldron didn't become a bad coach overnight. Shane Waldron was the guy who took over, was the offensive coordinator for the Rams that went to the Super Bowl, made Jared Goff what he was. He's the guy that went up to Seattle and took over. Geno Smith was a
Geno Smith baby,
Pro Bowl quarterback.
Right.
I'm just going to tell you, I think it's a swing and a miss with Caleb Williams. I just don't think he's that good. I think he's got happy feet. Now again, listen, you can't make a decision over a guy's career over 10 games, but we've seen it before with first round picks. I didn't like the way he came in. I didn't like his demeanor. I don't think he wins the locker room. I'm going to talk about my guys. I think DJ Moore is a pain in the ass. And again, but Danny, to your point, I mean, you said this earlier in the program. We're at the stage of the NFL where guys got to want to play for their head coaches. And for whatever reason, those Bears don't want to play anymore. And let's remember, 2 weeks ago, they were 4-2, and they're going to be 5-2 until that Hail Mary comes down. The Hail Mary has taken that wind out of their sails. I agree. Dan, I can't disagree with you.
I mean, to me, I thought, I think it starts at the top. Matt Eberflus, there was questions whether they wanted to bring him back, not bring him back. So, I mean, when you're in that situation, and I know they started good, but now, we're starting to fade a little bit, and he's the guy that's going to have to answer for this.
Yeah.
I mean, what they did yesterday was just bad. It was not good. And it's not a good Patriots team.
Yeah.
And they made them look like
in Chicago. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, my rant is, you know what? Since when has the NFL become the NBA? I mean, these wide receivers, to me, are screwing the whole league up. I mean, you know, we got Brendan Ayuk out with the 49ers, just making an absolute mess of their preseason. Stephon Diggs, that jerk, when he was playing with when he's playing with Buffalo. Then Devontae Adams, the all-time worst. Oh, he's going to save the world. Then we go down to DJ Moore. He don't want to go to the huddle or anything else. And even my guy, I love Jamar Chase. I think he's the best player. I think he's the best wide receiver in the league. But that son of a bitch sat out the first game, and that's the reason the Bengals lost. That's the reason the Bengals lost to the Patriots. NFL, get your stuff in order. You know what? You got to take control. All these guys are getting big money. And you know what? The teams that are winning, like Danny said earlier, teams that are winning, teams that are running the football, and teams that value stopping the football. So the hell with it. Stop mortgaging your programs, your teams on wide receivers.
That's why the Lions have gotten so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your guy. I'm on. Love him. Unbelievable. Well, that's what happens. Well, I think that the wrap, guys, we're right around an hour. You know, but it was a lot of fun today. Okay, the NEPSAC guys are just good guys. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm coming up this weekend, Dan. Let's go. We're going to Ravello's. We're going to Ravello's in Watertown. Can Damien come?
Sure. When are you coming up?
I'm coming up Friday. We're gonna figure the whole thing out. We'll get it figured out. All right. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Adios,
See you guys.
everyone.
All right.